Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Comrades, a podcast discussing current events, theory, and action through a radical lens. Hey y'all, we're back with episode 97 of Coffee with Comrades. Sorry we missed you last week. I was in the middle of moving into a new house, and my partner came to visit, so alas, I was a bit indisposed. The good news is that we are back with a banger of an episode for y'all today. But before we get there, a couple quick shoutouts and announcements. First things first, Coffee with Comrades is a proud part of the Rev Left Radio Federation and the Channel Zero Network. Here's a jingle from some of our pals on the CZN.
The Final Straw is a weekly anarchist radio show. It's fucking awesome, and you're never going to hear me say fucking awesome on our show because we're FCC regulated.
There's a black part of my heart that just flutters when you talk like that.
Talk, then more yelling.
It's a weird sort of like nice thing in a way, but also can get kind of crushing at times.
thefinalstrawradio.noblogs.org.
I also want to give you all a quick update on the forthcoming edition of our bi-monthly zine, Cold Brew Chronicles, which we're currently hard at work on. Patreon supporters can unlock exclusive access to the digital zine for as little as $5 a month by going to www.patreon.com/coffeewithcomrades. You can check out all the tiers for exclusive behind-the-scenes content, early access, and so much more. What's more, unless it escapes your notice, we are rapidly coming up on the 100th episode of Coffee with Comrades. To celebrate, we're doing a Q&A episode, and we want to hear from you. To get your voice on Coffee with Comrades' 100th episode, all you gotta do is pull out your phone, open up a recording app, and record yourself asking us a question. When you're finished, you can send that question to coffeewithcomrades@gmail.com. To be featured on the show, we need your questions by Friday, August 28th, so get those questions in pronto. A big thank you to everyone who's already sent in their questions. I think that's about it for the time being, so let's get to today's edition of the program. Without further ado, I am pleased to present episode 97 of Coffee with Comrades, Information is Free, featuring Xozypedia.
Whoa. Hey, let me ask my man over here. Hey man, let me ask you a question, man, see if you know what's up. Peep this. Who fuses the music with no illusions, producing the blueprints? Clueless? Automator, defy the laws of nature. Electronic monolith, throw a jam upon the disc. The futuristic loop it with the quickness. Hyper-producing, hydrogen fusion liquids. Keep your distance. Keep your distance. Who's that?
Well, it makes sense. Ozzy with Xozypedia.
Yeah, I really should have thought about it before I registered the domain name. I was just like, well, what kind of works here? I'm like, well, I could use my alias and just put PD at the end of it. But I'm thinking, well, that doesn't really look cool. Like, it was originally spelled like it was still in the notes phase, like Ozipedia.com.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and then I was like, that doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let me retry this, and here we are.
Here we are. Well, awesome. Well, on today's episode of Coffee with Comrades, I'm sitting down with Ozzy, the founder and editor of Xozypedia. What's good, my friend?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm a little bit sleepy this morning, but I'm doing good, all things considered. I'm visiting family in Orlando, getting tattooed, looking outside this beautiful window at two deer that are currently walking through my folks' backyard, so it's hard to beat.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm right outside Philadelphia, so I don't see too much of that.
That's awesome, though. We're sitting down today to talk about this project that you've got going on, Xozypedia. Can you tell me a little bit about it? I know that you've sat down with our friends and our mutual comrades in Little Red Schoolhouse and talked about it before, and you reached out to me, and we kind of like linked up and talked a little bit about your project. But I'm mostly just kind of like curious about like what is your vision for this little website, this clearinghouse for information, and what is your vision for how you want it to grow?
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. So I pretty much came up with the idea when I was during one of my English classes, and I was pissed off at JSTOR and like how they had their information set up, where like behind these gigantic ass paywalls, where like you have to like I found it kind of ironic because like for the history of JSTOR, you have to pay like 50 odd something dollars to learn about the history of JSTOR. And I just thought there was kind of a better way. Like I watched the documentary, The Internet's Own Boy, regarding Aaron Swartz, and I thought it was really, really insightful. So I was just kind of doodling in my notes and whatnot, and I thought it'd be a really interesting concept if I could just create a website where like like people could voluntarily upload their own information in terms of like DIY guides on how to build solar panels, poetry, political papers, and we got plenty of those, and just documents in general in which people would be interested in people would be interested to read, like professional smart people. Like we had a certified psychologist come on and upload his papers on like spores and mushrooms and whatnot, and I thought that was absolutely fascinating, that like we were able to reach like that demographic of people that like would love to upload their research for other people to use. And like I would love to see like people just uploading like their own scientific papers, their own DIY guides or poetry, like pretty much anything and everything, because I truly believe like human knowledge is boundless and just and like it's deep and never ending. Like you can learn quantum physics on YouTube and like you get an entire degree off the internet. You know what I mean?
No, totally. Totally. And like the funny thing too is like a lot of people might hear that and be like, you can get an entire degree off the internet, and be like, yeah, you know, you go to college and you pay a bunch of money. But no, like seriously, like you could literally just do it for free, which is
absolutely
fucking wild. Yeah, there's so much here to talk about, Ozzy, that I'm curious about and that I think is worth kind of discussing and exploring. I guess maybe a good place to start is for folks who may not be aware, who is Aaron Swartz, and like what's the story, right? Why is Aaron Swartz the internet's own boy?
Aaron Swartz is a political activist. He hacked into MIT servers and pretty much leaked all the documents onto a website, pretty much just trying to liberate all the information that was on MIT servers. And he got into a long legal battle with JSTOR and ended up taking his own life, unfortunately. And I just thought that the bravery of to do that and the lengths that he went to try and provide like free and open source information to everybody was very honorable.
Yeah, for sure. And for people who may not be aware, for listeners who maybe like don't do research or don't do academic research, one of the interesting things, and I'm using interesting in like the broadest kind of conception of the term because it's really more disturbing than anything else. One of the more disturbing things about academia in general is the fact that information is not free. In fact, most of the time information is kept behind a very steep paywall, and it is a prohibitively expensive thing. If you are a college student, you may notice that like you've had to like pay like a certain like dollar amount for library fees. Well, those library fees go towards getting you access to things like JSTOR, things like other journals and academic articles that are held behind paywalls. And on the surface, right, like if we don a sort of capitalist mindset, like on the surface, like it sort of makes sense, like people should be paid for their labor. But the reality is that the workers who actually contribute those articles, 9 times out of 10 are not compensated. Like they write they write an article, they get it published, and they're not paid for it. It just gets published. It brings prestige and success to the university because they get to say, oh, well, we have a polished article here that was published by one of our professors, but the person who actually took the time to sit down and write that article is almost never compensated for their labor. So like the money that's going to isn't actually going to the workers, it's going to this like essentially this like small cohort of people who kind of control and dictate who does or doesn't have access to information.
I actually had a friend I was talking to, and they told me that they couldn't upload any of their college papers to the website because the college pretty much essentially owned it, since they wrote it at the college and they uploaded it like at the college. Like they couldn't control their own I suppose digital labor. And like they couldn't upload it to the site, they couldn't do anything with it, and they could not distribute it how they pleased because the college completely owned it.
Yeah, that's the same way my master's thesis is. I think for another, God, I got it in 2000. Was it 2014 or 2015? It might be this year that I actually get access to it again, because they get for like 5 years. The University of Central Florida basically has exclusive rights to my master's thesis. Obviously, that hasn't stopped me from sharing it and giving it to people and shopping it around. But that's, neither here nor there.
I would love to read it.
It is interesting, though, that like it's the university, right? It's this incredibly powerful institution that generally is supported by vast sums of wealth that ends up kind of getting to dictate who does or doesn't get to access information. And it appears that Xozypedia is really a riposte to that, right? It's a challenge to that. It's an attempt to provide a different sort of model, kind of in the history and the lineage of Aaron Swartz, which I think is really noteworthy and laudable. So could you tell me about some of you mentioned like there were some like cool like stuff about fungi and political papers. What are some of the favorite papers that you've seen or stumbled across as you've been editing Xozypedia?
We got these old ass articles on like NATOP's flight manual Navy models, 4-145D aircraft articles, cryptocurrency 101. Like people upload the most interesting things. I had a friend that uploaded plant poetry and abstract nature and just like how to build like these solar cells and like which he actually took his own information. He's currently living in a cabin with these solar cells that he personally made and uploaded to the website, where he charges his phone, laptop, and any other electrical equipment. Like he built it all himself and uploaded all that research onto the internet. The article is called DIY Off-Grid Powerwall, parentheses, resource and e-commerce. And like, it's just fascinating.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, along with like the Blockchain Training Alliance glossary of terms of like looking into like the terms of like the blockchain and like how interesting the concept is. And like how like, in my opinion, I think it could truly find a future if it's like mass adopted, because I think like it's a new technology and like I think more people should know about it. And like the fact that I'm finding it on my website and I'm raising an eyebrow looking at it because I think it's completely fascinating.
Can you tell me more about it? Because I've heard of the blockchain before, but I couldn't tell you what it is if you put a gun to my head and told me that you would shoot me if I couldn't tell you. So, well, can you give like a rudimentary like explanation of what that is?
Yeah, pretty much. Like the blockchain is a database that's shared a bunch like numerous computers. It's pretty much like P2P, and like so a blockchain is unhackable. Like which like it's decentralized. So for instance, let's say like you had a centralized bank, and this is not just related to Bitcoin, and so the bank has one central server, and that's the single point of attack. But like while with the blockchain, it's spread across many different computers. So if one computer got hacked, it wouldn't take the entire network down. And a blockchain is essentially unhackable by like brute force. And like it's just all these different. It's a giant ledger of just like everything that's going through. And like some companies have picked it up like to monitor like their like what they put through like shipping and whatnot, because there's like many different forms of cryptocurrency, and I'm still learning about it myself, but I think it's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. So basically like someone would have to essentially like pwn someone's computer directly, like do an actual like physical attack on someone's computer in order to get access to the blockchain. Is that kind of, am I following correctly?
If they just pretty much just destroyed one computer, it wouldn't be able to take the entire blockchain down. Like it's mass encompassing. Like any computer that has a Bitcoin wallet on it is a part of the blockchain.
Huh, interesting.
And unless you took like pretty much every single computer down, like went to each house with a hammer and like to beat up every single computer, it would still stay up.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit tedious. I don't know if that's possible. That's wild though. It's interesting, like thinking too about the kind of variety of stuff that crops up on Xozypedia. Has that been something that you've kind of intentionally tried to seek out? Is it something that has just kind of organically happened?
Yes, absolutely. Like I'll ask friends and whatnot to like upload whatever they can think of, and they'll ask me like what do you mean? And I'll say like pretty much anything you can think of, like family recipes, just like poems, like papers you wrote in college that like you can upload. Like we have an article on Protest 101, like being safe in case things go awry, about like, you know, making sure you turn your phones off when you're in a protest, and things you should have in your backpack and things like that. And like I've intentionally tried to like get all this information onto the website, so that way it's just this vast repository of just human knowledge in general. And I'm trying to fix my the digital library in order to see all this information like more clearly, but
So
that's a task for a very good programmer, and that is not me.
So do you know like how many what's the word I'm looking for? Do you know how many documents are on Xozypedia, like altogether?
Yeah, almost 200. We started the website about a year and a half ago, and like looking at the statistics and whatnot and the data, we're actually doing really good in terms of views. Like we get about like 50, 60 views a day, which is not bad. And like whenever we do advertisements like via Reddit, for instance, like we'll upload like a how to build a solar panel and like r self-sustainability, and we'll get like a ton of views, and a lot of those views will stick around. And like while I would love for there to be more documents, and then hopefully like I can get more documents through this podcast, I would love to see more, like I would love to see like hundreds of thousands if like the site could support it.
Yeah, for sure. Have you run into any issues with like storage, or do you still have plenty of like room in the repository for storage?
We got plenty of room at the moment. Eventually, as the site gets bigger, we're going to need to expand it, get better servers and whatnot, and that's going to like I have no plans on monetizing the website, so I want it to be all done via donations that way, because I don't want paywalls or clicking on the website and you're seeing an ad or anything like that. I feel like that kind of defeats the purpose of it.
Totally.
So as we get bigger, I do want to expand the website so that way everybody can use it without a problem, without lag, and like just being able to upload whatever they want.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about this idea of intellectual property, because I think it's one that a lot of folks get kind of hung up on, right? Because a lot of lefties and anti-capitalists may be all down for the whole like property is theft thing, or have a critique of private property, right? But like intellectual property, right? Like something that somebody labored on and put time and energy and research into. A lot of people kind of maybe like hold their nose at that kind of an idea that intellectual property is bullshit, which is a phrase that I've uttered on this podcast more times than I care to admit. But let's kind of let's explore that idea a little bit together, because clearly I think it's one that kind of impacts and animates your work and kind of informs Xozypedia as a whole. So what are your thoughts on this idea of intellectual property, or of owning or possessing an idea?
Well, I believe everyone should have the right to at least their intellectual property. Like I'm an anarchist, and obviously I believe like people should own their rights to their own labor and all that. But when it comes to intellectual property, like for instance, like I believe it should all be done voluntarily, like kind of like individual property, I suppose. I believe everyone should have the right to their own individual property, such as like voluntarily uploading their documents and whatnot. Like I don't want to force anyone to upload like the poetry they made like a few years ago onto the website. Like I want everything to be done voluntarily. Like
Yeah.
and it's the site has proven that people will do it voluntarily.
Yeah, it's interesting thinking about that idea of like voluntary association and like voluntarily giving something that you've created up. I think a lot of people might think, well, it's just because you can't monetize it, and that's why you're willing to give it up for free. But I think that there's something more to it, right? Like there's this idea that people like actually want to share their ideas with other people. Like, you know, like the for example, I can think of no finer example, like as a poet myself, like obviously poetry doesn't sell, so fuck that. But like the guy who created the like solar panel stuff, like you could totally sell that and make a fucking killing with that information, you know? And yet this individual decided, right, to share these ideas and to provide the research freely. And so like, I'm curious, Ozzy, like, why do you think that is? Like, why would somebody, you know, do that? Especially in a culture and in an economy like ours that, you know, actively rewards and exacerbates our more selfish and, you know, individuated impulses.
I believe that the people that are uploading the documents and whatnot, like I've uploaded a few documents myself in order to kind of get papers on there and whatnot, but I believe it's honorable, like going against and like just being like, all right, you know what, I'm not going to sell my research to X company or X, Y, or Z company, and be like, I just want everyone to know it in terms of like here it is, like. And like I'm trying to set things up where in a way so that and again, like I'm not the best programmer in the world, where like people can see the stats and whatnot that like of like when they click on their document, like how many people have viewed it. I'm trying to set up a profile page where people can like have like a little donation box if they want to, like, which would not impact the articles at all. Like for instance, setting up a little like a PayPal or cryptocurrency wallet or something like that. So if people wanted, they could tip them for like reading the document if they really liked it. And like, when it comes to just why people would upload it, I don't really have the full answer other than like, I believe people would just want people to know that information. Like people want to see like the hard work that they've created. Like we have a writer on the website, Matty B. Rad, and like that's his alias. And like he uploads all the papers that he writes onto the website, such as like the politics of shame, or is there's no such thing as nonviolence, killer inequality in the police state, and he uploads all these for everyone to read, like regardless of paywall. And I believe it's a way of like getting your own information out there, and just being like selfless and just honorable.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It's you know, it's one of the things that really interests me about intellectual property or just like uploading an idea to the internet is that I think a lot of times we confuse the difference between someone like writing a poem or sharing information about creating off-the-grid solar panels with that's somehow equated with like the intellectual property of say a prescription drug that you know some huge drug company can make for pennies on the dollar and then sell it for like $100, you know. That is those are two very different things, and it's interesting to think about, you know, how individual workers and individual thinkers and individual researchers might have more agency and autonomy to decide what is done with the work that they generate versus a mega corporation that hoards a specific type of information for the sole purpose of making a killing hand over fist. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of Jonas Salk when he like the cure for polio, and he just like he didn't sell it, like he just made it available for everyone to use.
Yeah, it's egregious in every sense of the word. It is it's deeply egregious that there are people who continue to make a killing literally because people's lives are being held hostage. Pretty fucked up system we live under, isn't it?
Yeah, we're kind of in that situation right now with the coronavirus.
Yeah, that we fucking are. It'll be interesting to think too about like, you know, on this subject of like intellectual property. You know, if a certain country is able to make a breakthrough drug that's able to treat the coronavirus, is that going to be made available for free to everyone all across the planet?
I really hope so.
I mean, it fucking should be, you know, like yeah. It very clearly should be. It's kind of mind-boggling to think that it's possible that this pandemic, the likes of which is so totally unprecedented. We haven't seen anything even close to this in 100 years. And to think that it's possible that people might just turn around and try to make a quick buck off of this crisis. And I mean, in many ways, people are kind of already doing that in various ways with less egregious consequences. But I think that something like finding a cure, so to speak, or a vaccine for COVID-19, and then hoarding that is a crime against humanity if ever there was one.
It's truly despicable and the embodiment of pure evil, in my opinion.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, listen, I'm curious. What are some of the articles that you're currently like looking for, and how do listeners upload things to Xozypedia? How can people kind of get onto the website and start like uploading their own stuff on there?
Yeah, absolutely. So website's called the URL is xozypedia.com. So pretty much when you get on the homepage, just register for an account. You'll get an email. Once you register for an account, you'll go to click on the digital library or get started. On the right-hand corner of the page, it says create new doc. You can either type in the box itself or upload a PDF and put some tags in there, and like it'll allow you to like who can read this doc, logged in users who can edit this doc, like the doc author only. And once you submit it, a moderator will go through it to make sure that it's not misinformation. Like, for instance, like it was a guide on how to, like a recipe on brownies, and it's not actually misinformation on how to build a bomb or like hate speech or anything like that. So we have moderators that look through and make sure that the documents that don't go against the rules in terms of like misinformation or the hate speech. And once it's approved, it'll be on the main website, and like we can send an email out to you. We can send an email out to you saying, hey, your website's now on the website. I mean, your document's now on the website. And yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, speaking of, kind of having no tolerance for hate speech, which is obviously laudable, I did want to ask you about the rules because, interestingly, like, Xozypedia does have, like, 4 rules, and they're all pretty, like, straightforward. But I want to kind of, like, pick them apart with you just because I'm interested in sort of the ideological motivations that kind of made y'all decide on them. So the first one is no advertisements within the article unless it's related to a scholarly article. So what was the idea here?
We kind of just wanted readers to focus on the article itself without any underlying intent to just go check out like something else. Like we wanted to, and like regardless, I believe like advertisements to like we had someone on the website before upload like documents like, and they had like a paragraph in them, and like the rest of it was just relating to their own like kind of like Yelp style website. Like they were just trying to advertise over to there, and we just want people to be able to focus on the documents without like people trying to also like put up like their own like websites or whatever like that. And like we do want people to show like spread their knowledge and whatnot if they have like their own websites, because we're not trying to have a monopoly on like information. But when it comes to like unrelated things, like with it, I don't think it's completely necessary for the website.
You also have the second rule is no intentionally spreading misinformation. You must express your sources, and your sources must be eligible. Is basically everything on here? I mean, I've looked through a lot of stuff on here, but I haven't combed through everything. Is a lot of stuff on here like cited, or is some of it just like public knowledge? Like how stringent is the requirement of like making sure that you don't have misinformation in any given article?
It's not super strict, but in terms of, it's a little bit of both. Like we comb through it, and like we'll like Google it to make sure that like it's original and like it's not someone else's work, and like I said before, like we make sure that like it's not misinformation of like how to build a bomb or anything like that, because I believe that doesn't have any place on the website, like just violence and whatnot. And so we comb through it to make sure that everything is completely genuine, original, and I believe that's very important.
Hell yeah. And that's kind of like what the third rule is too, like making sure that if it's not, something that the author originated, or if it's not public knowledge, giving credit to where credit's due, which is something you've already kind of talked about. But I think the one that's most interesting to me, especially from a sort of ideological perspective, is no hate speech of any form or writing that incites violence towards a certain group solely because of culture, appearance, belief, or sexuality. Why is this an important rule? I mean, like on the surface, it's like, well, of course it's important, Pearson. But like, I am kind of like curious, because
absolutely.
like in many ways there are, one could make the argument that having like an anti-fascist kind of like how-to on here would also fall under this particular, rule, because you're inciting violence towards fascists. So like I'm curious about like this kind of question of like the tolerance of intolerance, which is always kind of I think it's a relatively easy paradox to solve, but I'm still curious as to like kind of your philosophy behind this.
I want everyone to feel welcome. Transgender men, transgender women, non-binary folk, and everybody in general. Like when it comes to religion, appearance, belief, or sexuality, like I want everyone to feel comfortable when they go on the website. I don't want people to feel I don't want people to feel ashamed of who they are, of like whatever they're going through. They look through an article and like this is if the rule was not on there, and like they see an article that attacks transgender people. Like I believe that is despicable, and like I want it to be a safe space for everybody, like regardless of everything, like appearance and appearance, culture, and gender. Like I truly believe that's important. And as we go forward into the new age, we're going to see more people with like body experimentation, and I think that's really fucking important, because like why would you want to be a dickhead and like just attack people for who they are? I mean, like everybody has a right to live and like be who they are, and I don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable like reading like some like hate speech regarding like non-binary folk. Like I think that's truly despicable. And I'm sorry if that answer sounds a little like we just want everyone to feel comfortable, but like I truly do.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, and I think that the internet is one of those kind of rare bastions where people actually can enjoy those types of freedoms of acceptance and openness. I don't.
They gotta look in the right places, though.
I was just about to say, yeah, you definitely have to look in the right places. But I think that's one of the things that's interesting about Xozypedia, is that it can provide people with, potentially the opportunity not just to learn new things, but also to meet new people and to kind of exchange their own information and to swap ideas, which is really cool. I've noticed that you can like things on the website. Is there like a forum? Like, can people like comment on articles and stuff like that?
We do have a forum. It's still pretty bare bones. We're still working on it, and we have a moderator that's trying to who is very big into philosophy and wrote the paper on the homepage, Electoralism, What is it Good For, by Sophia, and trying to like get people to talk about philosophy and whatnot. Like the forum is still pretty bare bones, but we do have a like system set up, and I'm trying to get a system set up in which like people can see their stats and whatnot. Like they can see the likes they have on their document, but like I would love a little section of the page for the user so they can see the amount of likes they have and like the amount of views that their articles get, because these are all definitely doable things. It's just programming skill, which I lack, because I started programming like about a year and a half ago for the website, and I hope I can actually like get that get that for the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Well, on that note, if people are interested in volunteering, or if they're interested in trying to help out with Xozypedia as like a moderator, or as offering up skills that they have with programming, how can they get in touch with you about that, and how can they kind of get plugged into the website and start working on it and helping to make Xozypedia even stronger than it already is?
Yeah, no problem. We have an email. It is XMT_MINDECH. So XMT_mindtech@protonmail.com. And just shoot us an email there.
Beautiful. And we'll make sure to link that in the show notes as well.
Yeah, I can definitely send you that.
Beautiful. Awesome. And if they want to submit articles, they just go to the website and sign up with their username, and then they can start submitting stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very simple. And if obviously if there's any problems or bugs or glitches you come across, like uploading documents, just be sure to shoot us an email and we'll get right on that.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Well, Ozzy, thank you so much for your time. This has been a really edifying and interesting conversation, kind of thinking through Xozypedia and thinking about open source information, thinking about intellectual property. I appreciate your time. If people are interested in following Xozypedia on social media, where can they go?
We at Xozypedia on Twitter, and we don't have a Facebook because I'm not exactly a fan of Facebook.
Me neither.
But yeah, we have an Instagram, we have a Twitter, which we're still trying to grow, and we have a subreddit. I was also wondering if I could give a shout out to two of my friends that are huge listeners of this podcast that kind of freaked out when they heard when I was going to be on here. Hell
yeah, go for it.
Their names are Marlo and Monarch. They are gigantic fans of the podcast. Like they pretty much freaked out when they heard I was going to be on here.
Fuck yeah. Well, this episode goes out to Marlo and Monarch then. Fuck yeah, that's awesome. Awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, Ozzy, this has been a blast, my friend. I really appreciate you. I can't wait to see how the website grows, and probably gonna start uploading some stuff of my own here in a second.
Sweet. I genuinely appreciate you having me on to talk about it. It's a passion of mine.
For sure. All right, comrade, be well.
You too. Thank you very much.
And that about does it for this week's episode of Coffee with Comrades. This is an entirely DIY show run by workers for workers. If you like what you hear, you can follow us on Twitter at CoffeeWComrades and Instagram at CoffeeWithComrades. Check out our website, www.coffeewithcomrades.com, and sign up to support our work with a monthly contribution by going to www.patreon.com/coffeewithcomrades. You can find Coffee with Comrades on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you go to get your anti-capitalist propaganda. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. While you're there, smashing that subscribe button, be sure to rate and review the show as well to help us increase our reach. If you have feedback, criticism, or you'd just like to get in touch with us, shoot us an email at coffeewithcomrades@gmail.com. Until next time, stay wild out there.